Hi, I'm Toby Hodges at the Cannes Yacht Show 2023. And yes, that's a gunboat. Spot the difference? It's the first gunboat with a flybridge. A Gunboat, iconic brand of fast catamarans. Still, you can see very much the genetics of this brand in there as well. And we're gonna try and hop on board, have a look around, because this is a beast. So keeping the lines and the look of the boat and the performance was really critical for Gunboat when they agreed to do a flybridge, and I say agreed to do because obviously it was from demand, customer demand. People wanted more cruising, they're oriented performance cat. There are a lot of flybridge cats around, and people like to spend their time up there and to be able to sail from there. So it makes sense, but you still see the big dagger boards, the very fine bows, the performance shape. And while I'm here we go. This is one of the first clues. Massive, great high-field rib with a 60 horse, which goes on this hydraulic lifting platform. So that's a 500 kilo rib that this platform can lift. And Gunboat, again, they wanted to keep the weight out of the end, so typically that would weigh around what the dinghy does, maybe more, but they got it down to just under 300 kilos. So everything on the boat, obviously, as Gunboat do build in very high-end carbon fibre. They outsource a lot of parts to people like fibre mechanics who are experts in building prepreg carbon panels. And that helps keep the boat lightweight. So despite the amount of comfort you're about to see, this is a 28-ton light ship boat that can take up to 34 tons in payload. Now, if you compare that to the 68, of which they're now up to number 7, very successful series of the current VPLP design, that 68 is 24 to 28 tons, where this is 28 to 34. But this has so much more space and stuff on here. So this, obviously, the main difference you get, this full opening out to the saloon, and the saloon being so much more further forward, because normally you would have that internal helm station. Because everything happens up these stairs in terms of sailing. And that means that keeps all of that main deck for living area. So there's your sailing, plus obviously the extra flybridge comfort space up here as well. Now, this boat, being the first one, was quite owner-driven in what they wanted, and so there are quite a few things that have come off. They previously had a Fontaine Pajot and then an Outremer 5X, so they wanted to have some of the features that they enjoyed on their other boats, including this flybridge, but having a single helm, which automatically you come here and think, well, I have a twin helm. Well, the second boat is having a twin helm and a more conventional, tighter packed gunboat forward cockpit layout. But you can see how all the lines have been brought here, easy to manage from this single helm area. Obviously you get pretty good views from up here, but with a twin helm you'd obviously park in the boat and that sort of thing would be that bit easier. Another thing you'll notice, this has boom awning up for while stationary. Now, what they're working on obviously is protection from sun, etc. when sailing for the second boat. So this boat will be mainly med-based, and the owners enjoy the sun, so they're not worried about the protection from the elements while sailing. For the second boat, they're designing bimini, which will go over this area, probably a removable one, but the removable one will still be able to stay up over the helm in 40 knots and 25 knots apparent over the aft area as well. You notice the big carbon dagger boards there. You know, the performance is still here. That's still a very tall Lorimar carbon rig with plenty of sailing horsepower in it. It's still got the inner forestay removable and the staysail there, and they are overlapping. So the head sails are overlapping, and just brought easily here, obviously, to this bank of 80 performer winches, 4 winches here, and the clutches and bins for them all central, so easy enough to manage short-handed. In terms of performance, the boat's designed to sail match true wind speed from 8 knots, and then it will comfortably sailing in the teens. This will probably clock around 20, early 20 knots, where the 68s can do more like 30. So that's your big difference in speed, but in terms of clocking away cruising miles, this is still going to be quite a weapon. They've also kept the weight out of the aft and off the flybridge as much as possible, so no fridges and barbecues and stuff up here. Lightweight, freestanding carbon furniture. I'm trying to work around the queues of people obviously trying to see on this boat, because it's pretty sensational. And Gunboat, their yard now based in La Grande Motte, they do build and finish a very, very high-end product. Real top super yacht standard. So I didn't mention before, the other thing that I'll give you over, I guess, production Flybridge yachts are metallic painted hulls. Well, painted hulls, so you choose whatever colour you want. But look how much space you get on this single leveling deck when you open up those bifold doors. As I said, normally in a gunboat you'd have your sailing area would start here essentially, so you lose that much more galley and saloon space. If you look at this galley and the amount of just the bank of refrigeration there, you get an idea. I mean, this has got where that extra weight goes as well. It's packed with aircon, got larger engines, 150 horsepower, it's not 110s. So this one has the starboard aft owner's cabin. So we'll drop down here. Hopefully there's no one in there. So this is, the first, I think I'm right in saying this, the first sort of aft cabin rather than a thwartship berth, a sort of island style walk around berth with the engine rooms aft. So conventionally Gunboat had their engine rooms midships for weight, central weight management, but the way the boats are rigged now, you can bring the weight further aft. And VPLP have compensated for this, because this does use the 68 moulds and they extend them for the 72. But yeah, that is very light, very enticing and comfortable looking cabin. So this has been designed by Isabelle Racapot, which again is another departure from gunboats previously. And she is designing this 72 Flybridge range. So the owner had influence in bringing her on board, I believe, on this first one, but they'll continue with using her for this Flybridge range. And then moving again, starboard forward cabin. This can be chosen to link with that aft if you want the extra owner space to link through the shower area into that aft cabin. Or you have a very nice guest double. And you can see really the difference here over the voluminous production boats you typically see at this sort of size these days, and that's in these fine bows. So you start to really lose that space and volume going forward, but I mean, still plenty comfortable for most people. So this does have a chart table here with throttle controls. Number 2 will have more systems controllable from down here, including an upside up and being able to release using hydraulics. So this is, as we drop down here, you have a cabin further aft. It's quite an adaptable area, this. So this is a guest cabin on this one with an athwartship's berth there, and then further forward is a crew area. You could have all of this as crew area. You could have, you know, workshop space or utility cabin if you wanted it. Depends, I guess, how many guests you're likely to have on board. As it is, this shuts off at this area, and you have crew area here. So washer dryer below here, an extra sort of pilot berth up in this one. So this one, the owner brings on a chef quite a lot, and the chef would either sleep there or in one of the four-peak cabins as well. But here, through the two permanent crew would typically be running the boat in a Pullman cabin with the wet heads further forward. And then between the steps to the fly and the saloon, you have what is really, I guess, a VIP guest cabin, because you have that amazing big berth with the views from aft here, but also you have that private access from the cockpit. So a party cabin, really brilliant for teenage kids who gonna go ashore and run riot, have their own access. Or I guess, you know, you could, if you wanted to look after your crew, they could be in here and have their own access, and an ensuite heads and shower in there. But yeah, pretty lovely looking cabin, this one. That's the one I'd choose, I think. You've got the cutaways here for the lifting cleats, and then the retractable windlasses there, neat feature, and hatches into the engine bays, and then 3 steps up onto a wide side deck here. And you can see a little bit just of the performance in the lightweight fittings as you move through the boat, and also the amount of glass and natural light. Huge boards on line drivers here, which basically means you get the electric control, remote control from that single helm station to lower and raise those boards, and then you are up into that nice light area. One massive great trampoline, huge bowsprit. What a weapon. See just how fine these bows are as you move forward here. I've got to admit, as a long-term Gunboat fan, I was sceptical when they said they were doing a Flybridge, and obviously I haven't sailed the boat, so jury's still out, but I get it. It's a pretty awesome machine, and you can understand, we just look around a boat show like this, the demand for, you know, more of an SUV type, Flybridge type catamaran, but people still want that performance and the ability to sail. When you don't overload a boat, you can still go out, you know, as I say, match true wind speeds in 7-8 knots breeze, be really sailing in that and enjoying it in lightweight med type breeze, and then to make passages and passage plan in the mid-teens. I mean, that's pretty awesome to have all of this space and a bit more, you know, cruising comfort really than the recent crop of gunboats. Been very heavily performance oriented, and that is in their core DNA. But this still looks like a pretty fun weapon, something that combines real cruising comfort, and something I think Gunboat think they'll probably sell a lot more of. They're already starting number 3, and you can appreciate why. Anyway, I'm going to stop rabbiting on. It's meant to be a quick tour because I'm hoping one day I'll actually sail it, and then we can have a bit more time on looking through the features of the boat. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. hull mould, which will go flat, and then they infuse it. And you can see the V in it, and the V is where they extend the hull mould to be able to produce the 72. So they take the 68 hull mould and they can put the 72 deck on there, and we'll see in a minute the result you do is a lot of people when they grow their boats, they grow them at the transom end or at the composite boat building at this level. You can add structure in the middle of the boat without it taking away from the stiffness and structure of the overall boat. And here is, just to give a scale of the size of it, this is the deck for the 72 upside down, and so you'll see that's the flybridge that will go on the 72. Massive 72, first hull of the Gunboat 72. And this section here you can see is where they've added the extra length from the hull moulds of the 68. So this is not pre-preg like the 80, but infused carbon. There's the sacrificial 4-foot bow section of the 72.